Welcome back to Modern JavaScript. In this video, we're going to set up Nodejs and write a simple Hello World program. So in the past, when you've gone to use JavaScript, it's typically done in the browser. So a lot of websites, pretty much all websites that you visit these days, use some amount of JavaScript. And so that JavaScript is embedded somewhere, in the web page. And when you go to load up that page, the browser has a built-in JavaScript interpreter that can read the JavaScript that's embedded in the page and evaluate it to, make the page more interactive or whatever the code is supposed to do. Nodejs is a different interpreter for JavaScript, and this one is completely independent of the browser. So this is a JavaScript runtime, lets you run JavaScript code, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the browser, and it in fact runs, in the command line, in your terminal, etc. So you can basically think of it, in terms of like the Python interpreter, how you write Python code, and then you run it through the Python interpreter, it evaluates the code, and it prints the results to the console as appropriate. Nodejs does the exact same thing. It's just taking JavaScript out of the browser and into the command line. So the first thing we're going to do is, of course, get Nodejs set up on our computer, and then we'll just write a simple Hello World program to demonstrate how it works. And I think that if you're confused at this point, the Hello World program will clear it all up for you. So you can go to the Nodejs homepage at nodejs.org, and then you're going to want to go ahead and download, we'll go with the latest version. There's really no reason to pick an older version unless you have legacy code that relies on an older version of Nodejs, but for our purposes, we're going to want to choose the latest and greatest so we can get the best language support and the best new features. So setting up Nodejs is very, very simple. There are builds for macOS, Windows, and Linux. All you do is you just click on the version you want to download, and it's going to download. For the Mac, it'll be a package. On Windows, it'll be an executable file, so on and so forth. And you just go ahead and run the package, and it would install that version of Nodejs for you, nice and simple. Now, I personally prefer to use the Homebrew package manager for the Mac. So you can learn about that by going to brew.sh. Now this is a Mac-only program, but it's essentially similar to apt-get that you would use on Ubuntu or any other package manager that you use on Linux. It lets you just run one simple command in the command line to automatically download and install the latest version of Nodejs or any other software. It can also handle automatically updating it, or very easily updating it, so that's why I prefer to use Homebrew. If you decide that you want to go the Homebrew route, you just copy this line of code, or this line, and you paste it into your terminal. And then once you run that, it'll take a couple minutes. It'll get you set up with Homebrew, and then you're just going to type brew install Nodejs. Now, I'm not going to actually run that command because I already have it installed, but that command right there will download and install the latest version of Nodejs for you. So whether you choose to go the Homebrew route or the direct download route, the point is that you will have Nodejs installed on your computer and ready to go. Now, if we're going to start programming, we're probably going to want an IDE. And for this series, I'm going to be using Webstorm. Webstorm is an IDE made by JetBrains. It's the same company that makes IntelliJ and PyCharm and a lot of other programs. In my personal opinion, JetBrains makes some of the best software, some of the best IDEs, or I should say the best IDEs that you can possibly get. They have incredible tooling, incredible language support, they're really ergonomic, and they're just a lot of fun to use. I don't know another way to put it. It just makes programming really, really nice. I just want to be clear that JetBrains is not paying me to say any of this. I just really, really love their software. So you can go to jetbrains.com/webstorm to download a free 30-day trial. But there is good news, and the good news is that if you're a student, you can actually get Webstorm and all of JetBrains programs for free. You can just go over to jetbrains.com/student, and you can see here that you get access to all of JetBrains IDEs, including Webstorm, for free. All you have to do is sign up using a school email address and provide an image of your school ID, and within maybe a day or two or even less, you'll be approved for a free license as long as you're a student. I have been using this free license for a while now, and I use JetBrains IDEs for all the coding that I do, and I love it. So if you're a student, you should absolutely apply for this license. Now, if you're not, I would give Webstorm a try for the 30 days, but any IDE that you use is going to be just fine. You know, your steps might be a little bit different than mine, but the code will be the same and it'll run just the same. So you're going to want to go ahead and get Webstorm installed, and I already have it installed, so I'm going to go ahead and start it up. So it'll go ahead and load up Webstorm, and then I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to make this an empty project. I don't want any of these templates to start with, and I'm going to just call it Hello World. This is going to be a very simple Hello World program that when we run it, we'll just print Hello World to the console. You know, straightforward. I'll go ahead and click Create, and it's going to create this project. And now we're going to go ahead and create our code file. Since we're programming in JavaScript, we are going to make a JavaScript file. I'm just going to call it hello world.js. So this is a standard JavaScript file, and in the old days you might be used to writing some JS files alongside your HTML and CSS, and then including it in a script tag in your website. Well, now we're doing something very different. We're actually running this as if it's actual code that we want to run on our computer. And so let's just go ahead and write a very simple command. We want to print to the screen. Now, when you are in the browser and you want to, sort of log a message to the developer tools, you would use console.log, and it's going to be the exact same thing here. So we're going to do console.log, and then in quotation marks, we will write, hello world. Maybe an exclamation point to be a little more exciting. And so this looks the exact same as in the browser, and it's the same JavaScript as in the browser, but we're basically just saying console.log hello world, and instead of logging it to the developer tools of whatever browser you're using, it's going to actually log it to the console when we run it. So let's actually run it. We're going to go up here and create a new run configuration, and we're going to choose, of course, Nodejs. First, it's going to have our node interpreter right here. You can see that it magically or automatically found my node installation. If it doesn't find yours, you can click these three dots. You can do add local, and you should be able to find it. But to be honest, I've never had an issue with Webstorm not finding it automatically. If you install it correctly through Homebrew or the download from their website, then it will install to the right place, and Webstorm should be able to find it just fine. The only thing that we need to set up here is the JavaScript file that we want to run. I'm going to type in hello world.js because that's the name of the file, and then we'll give this a name. We'll call this hello world. So I'm going to apply that and close, and so now when I hit this green play button, it should run the hello world code that we have right here. And indeed, pretty much instantly, that's exactly what happened. So essentially what's happening is it's running the node command and it's passing it the hello world.js file, and so node will read this file and interpret it, and it sees console.log hello world. It knows to print hello world to the console. So this is basically what Node does. It takes the same old JavaScript code that you're used to writing, and it brings it out of the browser and into the command line. So now we can actually write, command line utilities, we can write server backends, we can write pretty much anything that you could write with another language like Python or Java, you can now write with JavaScript. That's the power of Node. And one last thing before I end this video is if you open up your terminal and you just type in Node, then we actually get a REPL, read eval print loop, for JavaScript. So this is the same thing as typing Python into the terminal and you get an REPL for Python. Well, here we can do things, like 1 + 1, and it evaluates to be 2. We can say hello, and it evaluates to the string value of hello, and so on and so forth. We can actually write, so maybe there's something like var x equals 1, and then it says undefined because there was no value from that, and then we can just say what is x plus 4, and it's going to say 5, right, because x was 1, 1 + 4 is 5. So you can use this REPL to quickly test some code snippets if you want, but just again to draw the comparison between Node and another language like Python is they really are the same thing now. You can interact with JavaScript in the exact same way as you can with Python. And so you kind of have to think about JavaScript in a different way. It's no longer just a language for the browser. It's now a first-class citizen, a full programming language that can do anything that any other language could just as well. So now that we have Nodejs set up, in the next video we can actually start writing some code. So as always, subscribe if you want to see more, comment with what you want to learn. If you like this video, maybe hit the like button, that would be nice. And I'll see you guys soon with some more coding. Bye for now.